What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Escape the Matrix podcast. I am your host, Oliver Powell, and I have a special guest here with me, Miss Destiney Kyles-Jones. Destiny, how you doing today?
Excelente.
That is awesome. So for today's episode, I wanted to make sure I got somebody on here that was authentic and really true to the culture and really actually like making some big waves in her own community in terms of the realm of financial education, financial literacy, and just making a really big impact in other financial services as well. So I think she is really the epitome of a true boss lady, and and I think it's only right to call her so. Destiny, I appreciate you being here with me today.
Thank you, OP. That was so sweet. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, not a problem. Not a problem at all. There's a lot of entrepreneurs that I admire and that I just appreciate. You are definitely like at the very top of that list. Every time we have a conversation, and I'll probably repeat this at the very end, but every time we have a conversation, it's very refreshing because I can see how much you pour into me. So I just want to take the time now to kind of give you your flowers and say, I appreciate you.
Thank you, OP.
Yeah, not a problem.
Make sure you do the same for someone else.
For sure. That's what we're here to do. That's what we're here to do. Pay it forward. So let's go ahead and get this bad boy started. Let's kind of jump into who you are, what it is that you do, and let's just kind of start from there. So first off, Destiny, where are you from?
Bolton, Mississippi.
From
the big town of Bolton, Mississippi.
The big town of Bolton, Mississippi. How far is that from Jackson? Because I got some family out there, but I don't know where that's at.
20 miles per se.
Okay,
yeah.
so it's not too far.
Yeah, so I'm from Bolton. My mother still lives there, but I was raised in Jackson also.
Awesome.
So majority of my family resides in Jackson, so I spend a lot of time there.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, I have a lot of family out there too. And it's like a second home to me. Mississippi, Jackson, Mississippi, and Louisiana. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. The more you know, there's a lot you don't know about me.
Okay, I'm finding out now.
Yeah, there's a lot you don't know about me. But I always love going down there. And it's always just a lot of love.
What do you love most about it?
Oh, man, is this my podcast or is this your podcast? No, I'm messing with you. Really, what I love about it the most is really two things: the people and the food. Every time I go, and I guess I'm just kind of spoiled because my family, they really know how to get down. In terms of in that kitchen, it's crazy. But the food is always great. But in terms of being around the people, that's what I really enjoy the most because, I just enjoy connecting with people, and building relationships from there. It's always big for me. So I always enjoy the people and the food. So, yeah, shout out to the good folks of Mississippi.
Same.
Shout out to the good folks of Mississippi. So to kind of go into a little bit in terms of what it is that you do, what you're doing now. For those who do not know, Miss Destiney, she is a State Farm agent. So you have your own agency, right? Now, in terms of kind of peeling back the layers in terms of how that like works, we can get real technical, but I don't want to go like too deep into the weeds. But to oversimplify how the agency opportunity works, see it for the audience. See it as like being a franchisee owner, for example. It's kind of like to oversimplify it in a certain way.
Like
right?
I'm speaking to a 2-year-old?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. That's how I learned. So the State Farm opportunity is different from other insurance agency opportunities. The simplest way, you have two different ways of coming in, right? So you can be an entrepreneur who's looking for an opportunity, and you come to State Farm and say, hey, I have this level of expertise. I have this background in this, and I would like to become a State Farm agent. So from there, you'll go through the interview process, then you'll have like a training where you go to agency development, and then within like a 16, 18-week process, you'll open up your own agency. Or you can do it like I did, which is more so like an apprenticeship process where you're like an agent aspirant. And so you work for an agent for at least 18 months. And then upon working for the agent, you're fortunate enough to interview and possibly get the opportunity to become a State Farm agent.
Okay, awesome. And to kind of clarify a little bit, an agent aspirant for the audience, it's somebody that's aspiring to become a State Farm agent. So just to kind of clarify that a little bit, to give that a little bit more color. So out of all professions, how did you land here, and why did you I guess continue to pursue it?
Okay, so this answer is definitely my answer. So, dating back to my Mississippi roots, I am a graduate of the Tougaloo College, which is a private HBCU in Tougaloo, Mississippi, right outside of Jackson, Mississippi. So, since I was a freshman, I was Miss Freshman, I was Miss Tougaloo. My platform, which is when we're campaigning, we run on this platform, right? Like what we say we would like to bring to our college and teach our college. And so, my platform was on financial literacy. So I've
Okay.
always just felt like we, as the Black and Brown community, we should know more about finances. So that was my platform. I've always been like heavy into that. Well, while I was at Tougaloo College, our alum, which is Congressman Benny G. Thompson, he's still a congressman now. He's actually a native of Bolton, Mississippi, also.
Awesome.
We have a Homeland Security program there. And so I was afforded the opportunity to work for the Department of Justice, the Drug Enforcement Administration.
Mm.
So I worked for them for 3.5 years upon my matriculation at Tougaloo. So following my man, because he had gotten a job out here at L3 in Greenville, I transferred to the Drug Enforcement Administration in Dallas. And so I was there for like a calendar year. So this was like around my third year. And so I had applied to basically promote, well, try to get a promotion with the Drug Enforcement Administration, but that wasn't happening. That wasn't working out for me.
Yeah.
And so I was sharing with my mom, like, okay, hey, Jared and I had went to Costa Rica. Jared is my husband. We had went to Costa Rica and we met a claims adjuster from State Farm.
Okay.
And so over a few drinks, a few laughs, he was like, look, you can become a claims adjuster and make like $100,000. You just need to work for State Farm for like 2.5 years and get to know the business and then try to like be a contractor. And I was like, bet $100,000. That's a lot of money because I was 22 at the time. And so my humble beginnings made me think that $100,000 was a millionaire.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. So I shared it with my mom. She thought I had lost my mind. She was like, you're going to leave your federal job, your federal government job with your top secret clearance to climb on somebody's roof? Girl, you crazy. And I was like, well, I'm going to be crazy, Mom, because this is what I'm doing because I'm grown at this point, right?
Right.
Grown. So I decided to fast, and I said, you know what, I'm going to fast. And so one thing about me, which is really pivotal to where I am now, is I have a really close relationship with my homeboy, God. And so I go into seasons of fasting where I don't consult with anybody about anything. I don't want anyone's opinion. I don't want any unwarranted comments. It's just me and homeboy. And however he guides me and leads me, that's where I go. So I'm in this fasting space. While this is going on, my mom, being the typical mom, she's reaching out to people from State Farm like, hey, my daughter is trying to do claims, and I think she's losing her mind. What is this, right? And so by the grace of God, she reached out to a State Farm agent by the name of Jackie Bland, who is a very successful State Farm agent in Brandon, Mississippi. I think she's in Brandon or Jackson. Well, no, she's in Jackson. That's neither here nor there. So Miss Bland, she's my soror, actually, and she's an alumni of Tougaloo College.
Awesome.
So when I was Miss Tougaloo, she used to hear me speak at the alumni events. So when she met with my mom, she was like, yeah, I think Destiney would be really good as a State Farm agent, not a claims adjuster. And my mom was like what you do? And then she was like, yeah, but she needs to be an aspirant. She's not going to really make that much money right now, but that's okay. That's how we talk. That's okay. Just tell her stay in there for a couple of years, and then she can be a millionaire. So I'll never forget. My mom called me. I think it was on a Tuesday night. You know, when your mom called, you like, what? Damn, like, what is it? So she called and she's like, I talked to Sora Bland and you don't know her, but she thinks you'll be great for this agent aspirant program. And I'm like, what is that? And she said, well, you have to sell insurance. I was like, wait, sell insurance? You talking about knocking on people's doors, selling life insurance? Girl, bye. I'm not doing that, right? And so she said, well, just hear her out. So I spoke with Sora Bland, I think the next day. And this is how simple I am. So simple. She was like, I don't know if I should say this part, but she was like, look, you're going to make about $30,000 for about 2 years. And after that, you'll make more than a doctor. I said, more than a doctor? This legal? And she was like, yeah. So I was sold. I said, okay, so I'm so simple, right? Because I'm thinking doctors are millionaires, right? Fast forward, this is how God works. She was on the way to this round table meeting that they used to do in Bloomington, Illinois, where our headquarters, State Farm headquarters, is at. And so she runs into the notorious Earl Gordon in the airport, right? And so she's like, yeah, I have this young Sora, and I think she'll be great as an agent aspirant. And so they were out of town, and so I was supposed to meet with him when he got back. And so I was sharing with my one of my in-laws who lives in Dallas. I was like, yeah, I remember she was doing my hair, and I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to do this adjuster job because I start like July 2nd, I believe, and I think I'm going to do that. However, my mom wants me to meet with some man named Earl, and I remember Jared's aunt, she was like, Earl Gordon? And I was like, you know him? And she was like, yeah, like they donated a piano to Tierra, which is Jared's cousin. A piano? How much that cost?
Yeah.
Like, I'm thinking all kind of stuff. Like, how much does that cost? What is that, right?
Right.
And so I'm 22. I'm just so simple, yeah. So I was like, okay, so I'm gonna do the interview with him. So, anyways, that's how it started. But one of the things with Mr. Gordon that I think started my mindset to where the questions that you're going to ask me, they come from here, is that when we met for the first time, we met at Olive Garden. And so now they told me this man was a millionaire. So, 22, I'm thinking we about to ball out at Olive Garden.
Right.
And so I remember I'm ordering my food, and I remember they asked him what he would like. So it's like, I would like a side salad. And he said, excuse me, dearie, how much does it cost to get a side of chicken tenders, grilled chicken tenders? I said, wait a minute.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be a millionaire. He asking somebody how much a side of grilled chicken tenders costs. I'm about to leave my government job for this. This don't look like stability. This don't look like it at all, right? But I learned a valuable lesson that day from that. And he told me that he can make me a millionaire. He said, stick with me, kid. I'll take you far. And after that, I did it.
That's awesome there. That's amazing there. And shout out to Mr. Gordon. Great people, great mentor.
Yes, the best.
Yeah, the best mentor. He will have you working like a Hebrew slave. But
you know that's my saying. My God, OP. He had me in there working like a slave. He said the car is red, run.
Yeah.
How fast you need me to go? Like,
yeah.
Jesus Christ. But I'm simple. Like, if you show me someone who's doing it and they're performing at a high level and I see their lifestyle, why would I change? Why would I reinvent the wheel when I don't have to? So his thought process on managing money really, 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 really changed my thought.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. You said that, so you're having lunch with Mr. Gordon, and he's asking about, hey, how much is it going to cost for the side of grilled chicken tenders, which is hilarious.
At Olive Garden.
Yeah, at Olive Garden.
At all the places.
Right.
At Olive Garden.
You said you learned a big lesson right then and there. What was that lesson that you learned?
So it wasn't right then and there at that particular moment. It played out when I became an agent right beforehand. So you need to know how much things cost. Now, you have some things where, hey, it doesn't matter how much it costs. I'm prepared to pay for it, right? But as a business owner, I really believe that you should steward over your finances properly. And for him, those chicken tenders might not have been worth it. He might have just eaten before he got in there, right? So
Right.
I'm adding chicken tenders just to make a meal, but is $15 chicken tenders worth this,
Right.
right? And so it taught me to be very prudent in my finances and to ask questions all the time. So when we go places, I have the money. But how much does this cost? Because I never want to get to the position where I'm not paying attention to my finances.
Right.
And we both know he has the money, right?
Yeah.
We both know that. But it taught me a lesson to just be prudent in my finances and to not be embarrassed and ashamed to ask questions. Because when you get to a certain level and you quote unquote arrive, people count your money and they automatically assume, well, she got it, right? And you sometimes you're flattered by it because you want people to think you got it.
Right.
But there's a burden that comes with people thinking you have it also too, right? And so I want to make sure that what God is blessing me with, I'm stewarding it over it properly. And I learned that from him. At an interview, he asked about chicken tenders,
Yeah.
not caring how that would have made me feel, right?
Right.
So yeah.
Man, that's awesome there. You said a lot there, and I wanna touch back on several things, but kind of dating back to when you said you were in college and you were Miss Tougaloo. You were winning awards, you were doing your thing, you were campaigning. But something you was really big on was financial education. You said, okay, yeah, it's important, which it is. And that's like a big reason why I even put this whole entire show together.
Kudos to you.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. But for you, what was, I guess, what was that moment in time in life for you that kind of, I guess, sparked the interest in financial education? It was like, okay, hey, now I see why money is important, why we should be a good steward of our money. I should probably do things a little bit differently than how I'm doing it now. What was that kind of defining moment for you, or defining moments, if you can remember?
Moments. So I was raised in a lot of love, like the Southern way. Just my parents loved me. Where we lacked in finances, we had it in a lot in abundance of love. My parents did the best they can do with what they had, right? And they weren't afforded the opportunities to be exposed to certain things, if that makes sense.
Right.
So I worked 3 jobs while I was in college. I worked at Dollar Tree, I worked at Journey Kids, and I worked for the Drug Enforcement Administration at the same time.
Golly.
While being, I was about to be online for Delta. I was campaigning for all kinds of stuff. I was doing a lot.
Oh,
of
you was
things.
in the mix.
I was,
Yeah.
oh man, I was in a mix. But I was stressed. I was really stressed. There was a lifestyle that, because I went to Tougaloo, so let me backtrack.
Yeah.
So it's you're asking me about the pivotal moments.
Right.
So I went to an elite college where my classmates, their parents they were financially sound. They did have the resources of buying their kids groceries every weekend, making sure they had this and making sure they had that, right? Now, my parents were really good as far as like being present, and I'm so thankful for that.
It's good.
But when you are surrounded in an environment where everyone looks like they're financially thriving, right? It's not a competition, but how do I survive here?
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So if my parents don't have it, how do I get it? So I get it by working. Well, working and this is why I'm in college. So working and trying to build my credit and trying to apply for things, I'm having to do payday loans. I'm having to do title loans. My boyfriend is having to finance my transmission that went out because we don't have any money to do it, right? And I was like 19. Yeah. And so I said, this can't be life. Like, this can't be, there has to be a better way. Right. And so at the time, on the small scope, it was, okay, let's learn about credit cards, right? Let's learn about bank accounts. Let's learn about demand accounts, like, checking accounts, savings accounts. Let's learn about those things. Let's give the student body exposure to people who actually handle money. So that was my thought process then. I did not like that I worked so much to keep up with the lifestyle that I had developed. Does
Right.
that make sense?
It does. It does. And I think you said something, and I want to kind of touch back on that, where you said you went to an elite school where you kind of feel like you don't fit in financially in some other ways as well. But you feel like you're essentially like in survival mode, which, truth be told, you pretty much were.
I was.
Right. Um, I want to ask this question because I know there's a lot of people that want to have multiple jobs, 2, 3 plus jobs. And I understand everyone's circumstances are not the same. Sometimes for that moment or for that season in your life is necessary. But me personally, and I don't know if you know anybody as well, I don't know anybody that's working multiple jobs and that's doing well financially. I don't. Do you?
So that's okay. Okay, I'm gonna answer it like this.
Go ahead.
They're keeping up with their lifestyle. So if those jobs were to cease, their lifestyle would change drastically.
Agreed.
So I don't want to say if they're not doing well, because they might measure happiness by being able to have that lifestyle.
Understood.
Whereas for me, I didn't have a quality of life. Like, I was stressed. I was so stressed. But at the same time, I don't believe in working a whole bunch of jobs. I'm past.
Yeah, past that.
I'm past that. Not doing that anymore. But I'm thankful because in the season that I did do it, I learned how to have a hustle about myself. And there's a grind and there's a work ethic that you can't take away from me. You cannot outwork me. So in that season, I would say that was an opportunity. That was a growth there. But do I want to continue my life like that? Jesus, no. No.
Yeah. No, I understand that. So to kind of transition, take a couple steps forward, a couple years down the line, where you go from being in college to being an agent aspirant in Mr. Gordon's office. And how long were you in there?
2.5 years. He kicked me out.
Yeah, he kicked. Okay, so
I didn't want to leave.
I
wanted to stay.
Yeah,
I wasn't ready.
How did that work? Because I think there's a really big lesson in this story in terms of you going from being an employee to being a business owner, being an employer. You not even feeling like you're ready, but your mentor at that time was like, "Hey, look, it's time for you to go.
You gotta go." I'm like,
you gotta go.
No.
So yeah, what was the story? How did that all play out?
Man, one thing I would say, I would give all the glory to God, because I was in a real bad place when all of this popped off. Like, I had a lot of personal issues going on. I didn't know if I was coming or going. And I think that's why I'm so in love with what I do. And Mr. Gordon was more than a boss. He was a real, mentor. In my lowest place I've ever been in my life, he gave me purpose. Like, hey, I'm going to make you the office manager. I need you to not be, I don't need you to concentrate on that. I need you to concentrate on that. And so when he did that, that was the only thing I had to feel like I had purpose.
Right.
So in those few months, I performed at a really high level. Really, really high level. And unbeknownst to me, I was attracting attention. Like, hey, what Destiney got going on over there? She doing what? We need to get her on out of there. And so I was approached December of 2016. Like, hey, I think it's time for you to come out. And I was approached by a sales leader. And I was like, no, I'm just getting my head back on the swivel because it's been off, you know. I don't think I'm ready. I don't have the finances. I don't even know what the credit score needs. Like
Mm-hmm.
hiring people. Like
Yeah.
I think I was 25. I was like, no.
Right.
And so back to my homeboy.
Mm-hmm.
I go into a fast, and he was like, and I don't talk to anybody about it. And well, actually, let me backtrack. I remember I had a conversation with my husband, then I had a conversation with my homegirls, and then I lifted it. Then I went into my fast, and then God told me it's your time. So I remember I said, Mr. Gordon, are you sure? He said, well, dearie, you're gonna do better than a lot of those people out there. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So he said, but you can always come back. You can always come here. Whatever questions you have, I'll always be here.
Mm-hmm.
As long as the good Lord got me.
Right.
And so that gave me the confidence, of course, along with, my affirmation from God.
Mm-hmm.
So the transition was really a spiritual one, to be honest. It was really nothing but God, because to know where my mental space was in that time frame, I couldn't believe that a rainbow was about to appear. Like I couldn't, as colorful as I am today, I couldn't believe that was on the other side of what I was dealing with. And so by the time it got to the interview, I mean, everything was nothing but God. I can't even articulate how this was laid out. Like I was going through hell, and he had a plan this entire time for me. And even when it came to getting your business plan together, because once they say, hey, we think that we're interested in you becoming an agent, you don't just become an agent.
Right.
You still have to do your business plan, do your marketing plan. And this is like a real business. This example, the area that I'm in right now is like the Spring Valley, Addison area.
Yeah.
And at that time, they were doing that Spring Valley developmental project where Spring Valley was supposed to be revitalized, and I needed to know the businesses that were coming there, the demographics that was coming over there, the median income that was coming over there, because all of that's going to play into my business plan and play into who I'm hiring. Is this a primarily Hispanic environment? Is this primarily Black? Is this primarily Caucasian? Is it mixed? I need to know what my office needs to reflect, because that's my community, right? So I had to get all of that taken care of, and then present it, and then interview. And then I interviewed against a lot of people, and I also interviewed against my brother and fellow peer, Sean, which that was different.
Yeah.
That was different, right? And then I was afforded the opportunity.
That's awesome. And so you said something there in terms of becoming a State Farm agent. It's a real business. It's not like just some pie in the sky entrepreneurship idea, like in theory. I know, like, this is real. Like, I had a real brick and mortar
Business.
Yeah, business. I have real customers. That it's just a lot that kind of goes into it. So it's more than just like, oh, well, hey, I'm gonna just start something. We'll see how it goes. It's work. Right?
Yeah, it's no we'll see, because
Yeah.
State Farm is not. They're not financing anything. Everything is in Destiney Kyles-Jones' name. That's everything is
Right.
on my name. Okay,
Yeah.
lease,
Got you.
team members, all of that.
So it all falls on you. So
Oh yes, child.
and we'll get to that in a second, but I want to ask you this, because I know there's a lot of ups and downs, there's highs and lows of being a business owner. But for you, at least at this moment in time in your life, what are some of the luxuries that you're experiencing with being a business owner today?
Watching my team members develop, it's absolutely beautiful. It's like you have your little sister, and you just watch them grow, and then you know that certain things that they do, or the way that she's become, is a reflection of some of the things that you did, right?
Right.
That's a luxury. Being able to be there for my son, that is why I actually got into the business. That was the number one reason. Of course, the millionaire part was it too, right?
Of course.
But my mom was extremely present. Where we lacked finances, she was always present. And that's a hard line to be. It's hard to be present and profitable.
Mm.
It's hard to do both,
Yeah.
right? So she was present, but we didn't have the profit there.
Yeah.
And State Farm aligned this model aligned with present and being profitable.
That's amazing.
So yeah.
That's amazing there. And what you said was really big. You can't, or I'm not going to say you can't, but it's very hard to be present and profitable. I think we see that really in a lot of communities, but especially in the black community, black and brown community. There's a lot of parents that they go absent because they have to work, right? So it's kind of like an uphill battle for a lot of people. And it affects more people than just, the parents. Obviously, it affects the kids as well. And sometimes that can kind of be passed down through generation after generation. So there's a lot of effects that kind of come with that. But for you, with where you're at now, so you're a wife, you're a mom, and you're a business owner, a successful business owner at that. Mm-hmm. How are you balancing everything? Is there a such thing as work-life balance for you? And if so, how does that work?
It's balanced, and then I'm off the swivel again.
Yeah.
So I'm structured. I'm very structured.
Mm-hmm.
What that looks like for me is I wake up 3:45, 4 o'clock every day.
Wait. In the morning?
That's why I was asking, like, hey, is my puff okay?
Yeah.
Because this puff been puffing since like 4 this morning.
All day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me and her went to the gym together. I just had to spruce up a little bit, but we've been puffing, okay? We've been
Got
going,
you.
all right? So, but in order
Got
for
you.
me to do that, this is really important, your partner.
Mm-hmm.
I have a very good partner who understands me. Like, that is probably the best choice or thing that I would share with anyone.
Yeah.
Choose your partner wisely.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have someone who understands that my wife is busy.
Yep.
But if needed, she's going to drop anything and everything for my son and I, right? So I put my phone on Do Not Disturb on weekends.
That's good.
People who know me or that are close with me know that I'm not going to talk on the phone a lot.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to talk to me, you probably need to talk to me while I'm on the way home.
Yeah.
Because when I get home, there's a boundary that I spend time only with my husband and my son. On the weekends, it's pretty much only my husband and my son. Because I give so much of myself at work. Mm-hmm. I try to be present, attentive, and because of that, you have to be structured and disciplined. Mm-hmm. So I go to bed probably the latest is 10 o'clock. So I get about 6 hours of sleep.
Okay.
I have a real regimen with working out, with my diet, with vitamins. I monitor what I put in myself. I meditate. I read my Bible. I read 3 books every morning. I take inserts of it, leadership books, a book on leadership, a book on spirituality, the Bible, and then a book on relationship, which are like my 3 ways. And so I do that. I protect myself from a lot of energy.
Man, that's amazing there. Because I was just about to ask, I'm like, why would anybody in their right mind wake up at 4 a.m.? But what I've heard just from other people that tend to do that, and even just within your own answer, you and I, we know somebody, Kyle Thomas. Shout out. Yeah, shout out to Kyle. He wakes up at the craziest time for like 4 a.m. He's on that same wavelength as well. But what I tend to hear is like that's the best time to be productive and get things done because it's like it seems like at least like the earth is quiet. Normally people are asleep. Normally there's no cars on the road. It's like you can just be present. It's just like, hey, here's the time for me to really lock in, focus, take some time for myself, do whatever it is I want or need to do, whatever it is I feel like it's necessary at that moment in time. So I was actually just about to ask you that question, but you already answered it.
Yeah, you get to pour in yourself. Like I cook in the morning too. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot so I woke up today at 4. Yeah. Did my meditation, went to the gym, had a bum workout, so bummed that my body is sore. I just put these shoes on to come in.
Yeah. Appreciate that.
Yeah, because, child. And I cook like steak, bacon asparagus, bacon wrapped
Oh, like
asparagus, shrimp.
full meals.
Yeah, full meal.
Yeah.
And took my homeboy to school this morning and made it to work like around 9.
Man.
So it's a lot. Like, but that's my life.
Right.
They shouldn't be shorted because I decided to be a business owner.
I like that. I like that. Speaking to being a business owner, we talked about the luxuries. We know that there's unlimited, uncapped potential, earning potential financially.
Oh yeah.
You have the opportunity, if you do things correctly, have the systems put in place to be present and be profitable, right? But what we're talking about here is an actual real business, and entrepreneurship is really big. I mean, it's always been big, but I feel like it's kind of, that conversation is growing a lot more in the community. Can you speak to like the other side of being a business owner? Like, what are some things that people should probably be mindful of in the form of hiring people, taxes, marketing? Like, what does that look like for you? What's some advice you would share to a young entrepreneur that's trying to get their business off the ground?
A few things. So heavy is the crown who wears it. Two, it's great to be called a boss lady, and it's great for people to know that you own your own business, but it's so much that comes with it, right? The first thing I would say is make sure that wherever or whomever you're working for, that you're giving them your max potential, that you're stewarding over that job right. Because I just believe that God is not going to bless you with your own until you make sure that where you are is squared away. It's practice everything that you want to do in your business, do it over here, right?
Yeah.
This is not a, like when you're pregnant, well, I don't think that ever be all right.
But
cool.
yeah.
But things different these days, right?
Sign of the times.
God prepares you to become a mother. Like we start becoming ours. We don't drink anymore. We don't.
Right.
If you do drugs, you don't do. Well, hopefully,
right.
You're not doing drugs. You're not participating in certain behaviors that you were participating in beforehand because instantly you're pregnant,
right.
And you have that sense of protecting your child that comes. So over your 9 to 10 month period, your God is putting in you what you need so that when you have your child, you have everything you need. That makes sense?
Yeah.
So while you're at your current job, put and build everything that you need so that when you step out on your own, you have it. That you're not practicing on your own dime because it's expensive.
Yeah.
You're not messing up on your own time. Like, even if you're working for someone, being a leader, if you see someone, one of your peers not showing up to work on time, not giving it their all, pull them to the side, pour into them, work with them. Those are things that you're going to have to do when you're a business owner because you're HR. Yeah. You're the cheerleader, you're HR, you're the janitor, you the therapist, you're everything. Literally, right. You're everything there. So that's why the balance and pouring into yourself as a business owner is so important, right? Well, as a person is so important.
Of course.
Getting you a good CPA, someone who understands the nature of your business, that understands how you get paid, that you understand, that's not speaking foreign to you. Someone is speaking to you like a 2-year-old so that you right. can understand. Hiring. So this is my take on hiring, right? And you know this because you filled out one of those. I believe in, okay, look, if let's talk about like if we were dating terms. You would want somebody to say, okay, hey, what you know about Destiney before I go on a date with her, right? So they say she's a habitual liar. She uses people. She don't show up on time. She's going to take you for all you got. She's going to talk about you bad in the street. Would you want to go on a date with me?
No.
Right?
No.
So why not find that out instead of blindly sharing your space with me? Right? Like, and then me telling you, oh, my God, OP, you're the greatest thing since sliced bread. Just filling you up with whatever I need to fill you up with and affirm you to make you think like that I'm really into you. Just to show you 6 months later that I'm this lady that you could have found out. Right. So I believe in assessments. I believe in you finding out a little preliminary work about a person before you just hire. I don't hire out of desperation. I hire because I actually want the person. Anything that you do in life out of desperation, you're going to overlook some things. Whether it's I want to have a baby real bad. So because I want to have a baby real bad, I'm overlooking the relational flaws, the red flags in this guy that I'm dating because my desire to have a baby is so big that I'm not looking at the red flags. So as a business owner, I would recommend that people not ignore the red flags.
Right.
That they're working strategically, and in order to do that, you have to have finances.
Very true.
So going back to the conversation about Mr. Gordon and me learning about asking questions, that plays into this, right? Like, in order for the cons of being a business owner, everything is on you.
Yeah.
So my savings might be depleted. Well, of course, that shouldn't be the case with business credit and things of that nature, right? But let's just say I'm starting out and I don't have business credit, right? My savings might be depleted because I'm trying to make sure my team is paid. Right?
Yeah.
Because 6 months from now, with the business model that we have, I should be able to get that money back times 2, maybe times 3. Right? But I have to have a thorough business plan. I have to be invested in myself. I have to have the money. I have to hire the right people in order to take that kind of risk.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
That does. That makes a lot of sense. In addition to being mindful of having the right CPA, because that's important. Don't want to have any issues with the IRS for sure. Those are the last folks you want to deal with. Having a good CPA, making sure that you hire the right people, having the right team, putting that together. I know that takes time. In addition to those things, marketing and having like the budget for marketing. We also touch on payroll as well. But for you as a business owner now, what does that look like? And if you want to be transparent enough and actually give us real numbers, then feel free to do so. If not, it's fine. But what does that look like for you now as a business owner in terms of how important marketing is and how much actually goes into it for your monthly revenue?
Great question. So when I started out as a State Farm agent in 2017, I didn't do much marketing. And so and it showed because you have to look at your demographics and the area that you're in.
Right.
DFW is one of the largest cities in the United States, right? So I'm competing with Baja, American Family, Geico, Progressive, everyone I'm competing with, right, to earn the business of a prospect or a new customer.
Right.
So I didn't invest much in 2017, and it showed in 2018, and it showed in 2019. That's how, and I started investing in 2019. So I started doing, I would like to say maybe $500 a month in 2019. That consisted of doing a ad program where I had like a billboard, or I had like little placement ads on Pandora. Then I bought like leads to get people who were actively supposedly interested. You already know.
Yeah.
Supposedly interested in
Allegedly.
insurance. Allegedly.
Right.
I ain't asked for no insurance quote.
Right.
My bad, sweetheart. That's what. So, anyways, so like I think it was like 500 in 2019. 2020, it increased to about 1,500. 2022, it increased to about 3,000. And then right now, I'm probably at 4,000.
4,000 a month. That goes into marketing. What?
Yep. About 4,000.
Yeah, sounds
I'm
about
over
right.
here.
Sounds about right.
Yep, about 4,000.
So, so we kind of talked about really like a culmination of things. CPAs, hiring people, payroll, marketing.
Payroll. So you want to do things the right way.
Of course.
And I know, like, our community, black and brown, we try to get over it, right? Right? We try to hide things from Uncle Sam. That does not benefit you as a small business owner. It does not, because depending on how your business is formatted, your entity, whether you have an S corporation, whether you have a limited liability company, a LLC, whether you are the sole proprietor, whatever your case may be, whatever your entity may look like, right? There's a way that those taxes and things have to be paid. As an employer, you have, let me break it down so that people, because I was explaining to my team members like maybe a week or two ago. So you have, example, OP, we agree on you getting paid $5,000 a month. That's what we agree on, right? So I got to pay your $5,000, even with taxes coming out. So like I have your payroll without taxes. So let's say that's $4,000, right? And then whatever your tax bracket is, whatever you opt in, Medicare, Social Security, whatever the case may be, that $1,000 mark, that's employee taxes. So we got payroll, employee taxes. You follow me?
Yeah.
Then we have employer taxes.
Hold up. So you as a business owner, you are being taxed whenever you bring in the money for the revenue. That's one form of it. Whenever you pay your employees, you're also being taxed to pay your employees as well?
Yes. You got 3 buckets.
Okay.
So you have the payroll part, right, which is your just your pay without taxes.
Gotcha.
Right? Your net.
Yeah.
So we got your net. And then your gross amount, I still have to pay that, right? So that's going to be the taxes that are not showing up in your check. I still pay that amount. So this is your $5,000.
Yeah.
Right here, right? Yeah. Well, then we have employer taxes. And I believe the percentage on it is 8.45 of whatever that $5,000 amount is.
Right.
And then I pay that amount. So you have the option of paying it quarterly, annually. I pay mine every pay period.
Every pay period. What is that?
Every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks. So I know everybody does it differently. Some people, they want to do it all,
Yeah,
annually,
it's their prerogative.
Yeah, right. It's kind of their own thing. But every 2 weeks, every time you get paid, you already make sure that tax stuff is just taken care of on the front end.
Yes, I do that.
Okay.
But that's still not my taxes that are due, though. So that's why getting a great CPA is important.
Right.
Because you need someone who knows how you get paid, understands the IRS codes, understands what can be potentially written off, what can't be,
right,
what can be a credit. Like you have to have someone that's familiar. And I have a really good CPA. So I have no complaints there. But in the beginning, that really messed me up. Like
not having a good CPA or not understanding?
Not understanding. So I would never forget. This was like, I opened up September 1. This was like October. Like, I remember it was right before I was going to Jackson State homecoming. I remember. And I'm a business owner. I'm following it out. I'm going to do an inspection, going to stunt,
Of course.
I'm so past that now. But yeah. And I remember it was a Friday. And 'cause I used to work till like 10 o'clock. And yeah, no more of that. But I used to work long late hours.
Yeah.
And I remember with my Wells Fargo account saying 0 balance.
Oh.
Come again.
Yeah.
And I check it and I see like 3 installments from the IRS. One is like $3,500. One was like 17. The other one was like 3. It was basically like 10,000. That's all I had left.
Yeah.
And I said I was mortified.
Yeah.
Like, what has happened? And so my CPA was like, those are your employer taxes. What? So, and so I had to get real good at stewarding over my money and not buying the dumb stuff.
Yeah.
Until I'm at the space where I can buy the dumb stuff but still be prudent and still make sure that everything else is squared away.
That's a good financial space to be in, where you can still buy the toys, buy the fun things, and still be in a position where everything is taken care of and you're not like stressing over it, right?
And it's a fine line because, like, even with buying the toys, it's still so much you can do back in your business. Like we just relocated. We got a new office space.
Oh man, I know.
Yeah, come check us out.
Yeah, I gotta check it. Yeah, I gotta check it
It's
out.
real cute in there. I
Okay.
can't say it's real cute.
Cool.
But that's me putting money back in my business, right?
Mhm.
And then we just started a new referral program today. And so
Okay.
I'm over here like talking to my team. I'm saying it's gonna cost me, if y'all did this, that's like $180 a day on top of the other stuff that I'm doing. So I can't afford to invest in my business if I'm constantly buying the dumb stuff.
Right.
So some things, when I feel like when you get to a certain point, some things don't interest you as much. Some people have their things like, well, I like bags, I like cars, I like this. That's cool, right? But eventually you get all of that stuff and then it's like, okay, let me just put money in my business and grow this baby as big as I possibly can. To where if I do want to buy something dumb, I'll buy it. But my business, this other big baby, I'm making sure she's taken care of. I'm present for her and I'm profitable.
I like that. For you, what were some of those things that you, I guess, you found yourself growing out of? Like before being a business owner, you enjoyed X, Y, Z, bags, clothes, whatever the case, whatever that thing was, and now here you are today, and it's like, I mean, I'm making like, yeah, I can get it, but it's not really on my radar as much as it was. What are some of those things for you?
Certain cars, like I still want a particular car, but I don't want it today. Like I'm really cool with my Fin, my little Infinity. Like
Yeah.
we're good, right? I've grown out of people. I've grown out of pointless conversations. I've grown out of talking about people. I've just grown out of things that if it's not going to benefit me or I don't see any area of growing there, I'm not impressed at all. I've grown out of buying a lot of designer bags. Like I still now, I still got my bag over there.
Yeah.
I still,
That's a nice bag over there.
she's nice, but I
That's a
don't buy
nice
as
bag.
many of those.
Got you.
She gonna last me.
Yeah.
I might go get another one in next year.
Right.
But I got a 2-year clock on these bags. Right.
I
So
understand.
I've grown out of that. I've grown out of buying a lot of designer stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, like I still have designer stuff, but not as much as I was
Yeah.
doing the
Not
most.
as much. Yeah.
Yeah, I've grown out of that.
Okay. And in the same vein, in terms of growing out of things, certain interests you're gonna definitely grow out of. But can you talk about the sacrifices you had to make in terms of growing out of like people, if you're picking up what I'm putting down? Because I know in order for you to get to where you are now, there's some sacrifices that come with it. Obviously, it's some of the lavish spending here and there, but for you and your journey, I know everyone's journey is different, but for you and your journey, was there people that you had to sacrifice along the way? Not to say name names. That's
Oh
not what I'm
yeah,
getting at. But like,
no.
what was that transition like?
I
Yeah.
had to put placement with people. I had to realize, number one, where I'm going. I had to realize my own potential.
Yeah.
And realize, like, okay, are these people around me just for a good time? Or are these people around me because they're going to be a part of this new journey that I'm going on? Do they like the Destiney that's toxic? Do they like the Destiney who's just blowing money at the bar? Like,
Yeah.
what version of me do they like? Like, which one do they love? So once I figured that out, I started placing people. I put them in different places,
Right.
whether they're an assignment, somebody I'm supposed to work on or help.
Yeah.
Is this an actual friendship? Is this an acquaintance? Was it seasonal? So once I did that, it really wasn't a sacrifice.
Right.
It was the relationship is there. It's just not what it was before.
Gotcha.
Because now I put you in a place on where I am, on where you are with me.
Yeah.
And where I'm at. I'm
Okay.
very protective of myself.
Yeah, and that's good. And I think most people should be a little bit more protective of themselves in many ways, financially, emotionally, and also spiritually as well. It's very important. Okay, question I wanted to ask you. It's been in the back of my mind for quite some time now. There's this concept, this topic, life insurance, that's been thrown around. It's been thrown around a lot over the years. hundreds of years. I think as we get more closer to, not even more closer, I guess now that we are in the information age, not the industrial age anymore, everything is about information, right? There's a lot of things about life insurance that people don't know about, good or bad, right? For most people, they know that life insurance is is almost like you investing in your death. It's kind of one way to look at it, right? At least that may be the mindset of some people, right? So, oh, why would I buy this? I'm just going to leave some people, my family, for example, some money behind, but I don't get to enjoy it, right? I know that's only one side of the coin, though, right? In terms of life insurance in general. I know this can be a very in-depth topic, so we'll kind of keep it at surface level. We may dive into it a little bit deeper. Yeah, 2-year-old version, right? Break it down to a 2-3-year-old. But what's that other side of life insurance in terms of the living benefits?
Great question. So I like to say it like this, and I think it's beneficial. It helps customers understand it.
Yeah.
So let's look at whole life, the living benefits insurance, as a person owning a home.
Okay.
Own a home right here. Mm-hmm. Then you have term insurance, investing in your death, temporary, right?
Right.
Let's say that's an apartment.
Gotcha.
Follow me?
Yep.
Home, apartment.
Mm-hmm.
Now, both of these share the commonality that it's somewhere to stay, right? You have somewhere to lay your head.
Right.
You have somewhere safe. You're good to go, right?
Yeah.
Term insurance, whole life insurance. Both of them serve the purpose of if you were to pass away today, your beneficiary will get that death benefit.
Right.
Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
However, with the apartment, you're every 13 months, every 12 months, whatever your lease agreement is, your rent is increasing, right? With the term insurance policy, every 10 years, 20 years, or 30 years, your term is increasing astronomically.
So, like the price in terms of how much it actually costs to keep it. Okay.
So the premium that you pay is going to increase astronomically.
Right.
With the term insurance, similar to an apartment, right?
Mm-hmm.
With the whole life insurance, you're locked in at this amount, similar to purchasing a home, right? You have this amount. Now, with your home that you own, you have benefits of it, right?
Right.
A person can take money out of their home. They can do a line. They can do an equity line of credit. They can do a HELOC. They have benefits because they own a home. So their monthly mortgage payments that they're paying, paying for it to stay at their house,
right.
They're building equity there, right?
Mm-hmm.
The monthly payments that you're funding, that you're paying premium for your whole life insurance, you're earning cash value there, right? So you can take that cash value out just like you can take money out of your home, right?
Okay.
Now, the benefit of it is that you can utilize this while you're alive. You can be the bank of OP, the bank of destiny, right? That's going to be completely different than your term. Both policies are great, term and whole life. Having an apartment is great. Having a home is great. You have people who have an apartment that say that's less maintenance. Right. You have people that have the home and say, I don't have to worry about my rent going up. I'm paying into something that I own.
Right.
It's going to be based off of your thought process, but the living benefits of the whole life policy allows you to utilize the money now.
Okay, so to kind of summarize, break it down in like cornbread language. Anyways, to kind of break it down, right? So you have a term policy, almost like an apartment where you're renting it.
Yep.
At some point in time, you will either 10, 20, 30 years down the line, your rent or your premium is going to go up.
Astronomically.
Like exponentially, like crazy, right? So it can go from, let's just say, $30 a month to, if the insurance company, if they wanted to, they can just say it's going to be now $1,200 a month, like just because right?
Yeah.
So that's one thing with it on that side. For the whole life policy, the analogy that you use is like being a homeowner. Whenever you put money into your home, paying your mortgage, whenever you put money into your policy, paying your premium, as time goes on, you're building up cash value. You can actually take the money outside of your life insurance policy, and you can use that for whatever it is you see fit. So there really is no limit to what that money can be used for in terms of like the cash value.
It's not. I personally use it. I use it to open up my business. I've used it for a down payment on our second home. I've utilized it, and no one asked me for permission. Like, it's my money. I don't, and for me, especially for us in the Black and brown community, like which I said earlier, I've been to title loan places. I've been to payday loan places. I've had to subject myself, essentially to those predatory companies, right? To get some type of money, right, with an interest rate of 35%. So I'm traumatized.
Crazy. Yeah, that is ridiculous.
I'm PTSD over here.
Yeah.
I am off. So because of that, I like people to realize that, hey, you don't have to worry about that. You can put your kids, your niece, your nephews, your mom and dad in a position where you don't have to worry about being denied. You don't have to worry about anyone giving you egregious rates.
Right.
Because you can create your own.
So, and I guess a natural follow-up question for that would be, what does that interest rate look like? If we want to talk about just brass tacks, let's break it down in numbers here, right? What does that interest rate look like from a whole life policy? We're
going to use this figuratively because those do change.
Understand.
And each product is different, but you could say between like a 3.3 interest rate to about a 2.7, 2.4.
Okay, so 2 to 3%.
Yes, and let me also say this. Customers who've had these policies, tenured customers, they might have a 7, a 6, or 8%.
Okay.
That's because the interest rates was of that when they got
at the time.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So it's subject to change, just all depending on the times economically, right? But as of today, if people were to look at investing in themselves or investing into creating their own bank, right? We're looking at, obviously it varies, but somewhere around maybe 2 to 3%, maybe 4 on the high end.
Yeah.
Right.
And what I would ask someone is, where else can you get this plus a death benefit? Because even like the people that say, well, I'm invested in the stock market, I think that's great.
Yeah.
But what if you have enough money to cover your family if you were to pass away today? You don't have $500,000 in the stock market.
Right.
I mean, some do, but not. It's what is it? Is 1 to 3 people are living paycheck to paycheck? Like, no, you don't have that, right?
Of course.
So let's appeal to the everyday person. Even if we start out small with a smaller policy, like we work with you to build it up because you're not going to always be in that position.
Right.
And that's a part of our job, right? As helping people with their finances and being financial advisors. That's what we do, right? To speak with them about being better stewards of their finances, on being more efficient and thought process on what they're thinking instead of weighing their money on their backs. Like this is what we do. So even with, hey, you starting out small, we can work on increasing this on a annual basis. So what other financial product could do this?
I can't think of anything.
Let me know when you find out.
Yeah. So obviously life insurance is very important. And in terms of how it works, it can be, well, some people can say it can be tricky in terms of how it works. I don't think it's necessarily tricky. It's just a matter of just truly understanding, right? And I think the analogy that you gave us in terms of renting versus being a homeowner was an amazing analogy. That's easy for almost a 2 and 3 year old to actually understand, really. I'm excited for this one to come out. I'm excited for this one to come out.
Use it.
So
tweak it, make it be your own.
Right.
However you want it to be.
Awesome. So before we wrap, let's see. I wanted to ask this last question. I know you said that you're waking up at 4 a.m., which I still can't wrap my Why 3 a.m.? I still can't wrap my mind around
Not
that one
3,
yet.
like 3:45.
3:45. Okay, so
Okay.
4 a.m. Okay, got you.
Yeah, my husband was like, she ain't getting up.
Yeah. So,
Girl, lying.
right. So waking up at 4 a.m., which is crazy, but it's what you do. And you said you do a lot within that time, but you said you were reading like inserts of about 3 books.
Yep.
On that, right? Okay. So, you personally, I'm really big on reading, bookworm myself. But what are some of your favorite books that you've ever read? Like, let's just say top 3, and an honorable mention if you want.
Okay, yeah. So, just want me to name them or why they're my favorite?
Both. So name them and then why.
Okay, so one of my favorites would be the $1 Million Neighbor Next Door.
Okay.
So, have you heard of that one?
I think it's the next one here.
I remixed it.
Yeah.
You know.
I know exactly which book you're talking about.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
one of the things that I like most about that book was that when they talk about like your neighbor being a millionaire, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something that I didn't even think about is that when oh my God, the quote unquote American dream.
Right.
So we move into these neighborhoods with HOAs, they're gated communities, blah, blah, blah. We move there and now we think we should get a car that matches our home. We should buy a car that matches the neighborhood that we're in. So then we put ourselves in more debt and we buy those cars. Then because this is a nice neighborhood, you have to have the best of the best landscape. That means that's an extra bill.
Right.
You have to participate in whatever seasonal decor that's out. That's a bill. Christmas lights, Halloween decorations, spring decorations.
Yeah.
All of this stuff is costing money, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I never thought about it like that. I never thought about how we're told to do these things, which they're not bad things to do.
Right.
But you have to have that mindset when you're going into purchasing this type of home in this type of neighborhood. That, okay, yeah, I think my mortgage payment is gonna be $3,500, but there's an additional $500 a month that I'm not thinking about with landscaping, that I'm not thinking about with the upkeep to keep my house looking like this. And now I have to get a car that matches it. Mm-hmm. My kids have to look a certain way. It's a whole thing that comes with this, right? And it just kind of taught me how you really can't judge a book by its cover. Mm-hmm. That you can have a school teacher who's a millionaire because her dad worked 3 jobs. Right.
Yeah.
And he put things in place, a life insurance policy.
Right.
He put things in place for her to where she can do what she wanted to do, right? Mm-hmm. But still have the financial freedom. She can be present and be profitable because of some things that somebody put in place. My second book would be The Meaning of Marriage.
The Meaning of
It's
Marriage.
by Tim Keller. Love that book. This is my second time reading it.
Okay.
What I love most about it is that it breaks down the covenant. It breaks down your relationship with God and your spouse. It breaks down the notions of people saying this is just a paper. Like, this is just a paper. This is why we're getting married. It breaks down a lot of misconceptions. And it's a great ideology of marriage and the institution of it.
Okay. I like that.
My third book would be Relational Intelligence by Darius Dean.
Relational intelligence.
I think you would love him, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think you would. I really need to meet him because like he has been so instrumental with my growth within these last few years as far as like spirituality and like business